Hello, welcome. Today we're going to look at sans. If you're looking to infuse your tracks with some 8-bit sampler vibes or unleash some mind-bending, crazy bit crush distortion, sans is for you. It's a MaxforLive device from Rainbow Circuit. It lets you reshape your sound by simulating and using old school digital sampler technology. Okay, first let's look at how we install it, then we'll unpack the amazing sans. So once you've downloaded sans, you want to double click on it to unpack it. Inside the folder, you will have a user guide, which is helpful finding all the different parameters and what they do. Also, that's what I'm here for today. And here is our device. Now you can drag it directly into your track to use, but to save it to a place where you can record it in the future, you want to go up to your browser, go down to your user library, presets, audio effects, down to MaxforLive audio effect. If you get the AMXD file and just drag it into there. That's installed. Let's drag it into our session and hear what it can do. So here I've got a drum beat. I'll solo this up. And now let's hear that with sans turned on. Whoa. So what sans is doing is it's, as I've said before, is simulating an 8-bit sampler where each one of the bits control part of the sound's loudness, from quiet details to loud peaks. And with this section here, you can route these bits. You can either turn them off, flip them, or transform the audio in lots of different ways. It's all about taking that vintage digital sound and pushing it into new territories. So this area here where we have the numbers is called the bit matrix, and this is the core of sans. So this is a grid where the x-axis, which is along the horizontal lines, has bits 1 to 8, and this is the input of the bits. And the y-axis shows their output positions. If you move a bit to a new spot, that's where the uncharted territory starts to happen. You're going to be putting the quiet bits in the loud bits, and vice versa. That's where we're going to get all sorts of crazy sounds. We can turn off the bits for like a crunchy lo-fi effect, or invert it to flip the waveform and add glitchy textures. This is where all the fun begins. So let's try it with a drum loop. So first, here's the dry loop. And I'm going to bring it in. Okay, so you're hearing that distortion. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this matrix. I can shift and put the output of bit 1 to be at the loudest point rather than the quietest point. So what's going to happen there, you're going to get the quietest part of the waveforms pushed up very loud. So yeah, listen to this. Whoa, yeah, this is where we're getting pretty gnarly bit crush distortion effects. So cool, right? Let me bring it back down. Now we can move each one of the bits around. If I move the 6th bit around, let's go backwards. We can really experiment with lots of different textures here just by moving the bits around. And we have a handy reset button, which resets everything in the matrix, which is very handy to have. So now let's look at turning some of the bits off. How we do that is hold down Command, turn the bits off here. So now I have 1, 2, 3 just on. So now this is acting like a 3-bit sampler and it's going to be super gritty. Now in this matrix modifier section here, which I'll come into in a bit more detail in a minute, we have the state, which will flip round the ones that are on to the ones that are off. So now we have 4, 5, 6, and 7 engaged and 1, 2, 3 off. So let's hear how that sounds. Turn a couple of these off. That's a nice little texture. Remove it. So many sounds you can get out of this. Also, to note, you have an input here. So this is just a volume input. So obviously the more you send in, the more gnarly it's going to get. So as default, it's set around minus 12 dB. Now, we've already started playing with some of these matrix modifiers, but let's unpack them in a bit more detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a a combination of the bits here. So I'm going to just like move a few of them around to odd places, so places they're not supposed to be, to get some interesting sounds. Let's try something like that. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, so now they're all spread over the matrix in places where they're not supposed to be. We've completely abused it. Now, say we want to try out some more tones of that. What we can do is we can use this shift dial up here, which will just shift them up or down a bit at a time. So you can move them around. It's a cool little like visual matrix kind of looking effect. Let's hear how that sounds. And we can do it the other way, which will go along the x-axis. So we can try that. And then we have this flip section here, which we can flip the state. So that's if I have some of these bits turned off like that. If I do state, it will flip the on-off switch essentially. Also, I can invert them as well. So this will invert the waveform. So if they're grayed out like that, that means the waveform has been inverted. So let's hear just flipping between some of those. Nice. And then also, yeah, we've got this reset button here. So if you start things get a little bit too out of control, break in case of emergency button. And then we have this little tab here, which flips the matrix view. And this is what we call like the fine tune. This is what we can do after we've got a good setting. Now, this is where we can turn the bits off and on as well. This is the input of the bit. Then we can also adjust the output of the bit. So there again. We can adjust bit 1 to go all the way to bit 8, which is that horrific, gnarly sound, which, yeah, is brilliant. Then we have invert the phase, so that's the invert. Also, for each bit, we have a stereo switch button, which enables us to flip the bit stereo placement for more complex spatial effects. And going over here, we have two sections. We have two filters. So we have a pre-filter, which has a high pass and a low pass filter. Now they can be run in series or parallel. Now I'm just going to go back in the matrix here and move things around to make it a bit more gnarly so we can really hear this filter working. Let's try something like that. Oh, that's nice. There's so many cool sounds you can get with just this filter as well, pulling out some of these sounds, running it in series or in parallel. Also, we have a post filter, which is also inspired by the AT samplers, which featured a post filter, and it smoothens out the sound after being processed. So let's hear this gnarly sound, and then I'm going to try and smoothen it out a little bit. Wow, nice, yeah. It sounds so good. And then we have a compander, which compresses and expands the audio to fit the 8-bit range. It's mimicking the AT samplers and reducing the noise. It shines when the bits are in their original spots. So if I go to reset and then put this down, bring it up. There we go, nice little texture. Let's bring this filter back to its original place as well. Turn the compand off and bring it in. Nice, it's a tighter, more vintage sound. It's subtle, but authentic. Okay, so let's hear this across the track here. So I'm going to put it on different instruments. I'm going to keep it fairly civilized on the drums. Maybe put like one of these up here, maybe move 2 down a little bit so we get something like this. Something like that. It sounds cool. Now I'm going to go to the bass track and let's put sounds on it. Let's go gnarly with this one. Bring those drums in. Oh, we are channeling our inner Daft Punk here. This is great. Now let's bring in a lead here. So let's hear it without the sounds. Sounds on. Nice. So as you can see there, sounds is super versatile. A light touch of it on the drums to give a retro crunch, to completely destroying the bass and the lead sound for some crazy bit crush distortion. So that was sounds. Go grab it. It's an absolute steal. You're going to have so much fun with this one. Bye for now. See you in the next one.